Hey YouTube, today we're going to be talking about how to not lose coins on your FIFA 23 starter squad. I know a lot of you guys got absolutely killed last year on your starting squads, so I wanted to help you out and give you some examples of players that I think will lose value, some players that might maintain value, and some players that might even gain value along the way. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell. We're going to be blasting out videos here for you guys. Again, they're not going to be highly edited or anything like that. They're just going to be informational and things you need to know for FIFA 23. So let's get right into it. You guys see this face here, probably just like me, it creeps you out. I mean, we saw him way too much last year as Kimpembe. And I wanted to start with this card because Kimpembe actually maintained or raised in value throughout the first weeks of FIFA 22, which was really rare to see. He's kind of at that barrier where I would think about it like 82 rated and under are going to oftentimes lose value just due to pack supply. It's going to be really, really hard for 82 rated cards or under to maintain their value. 83 or higher, I think of like 83s like Kimpembe or Ferland Mendy have a higher shot at maintaining their values. I feel like that's kind of a breaking point of getting packed a lot at 82 rated or under, or 83s plus starting to get a little bit more rare, especially if they're meta. So let's look at his graph here. And as you see, he started around 30k. At his peak, he went up to like 70k, which is nutty. People were calling him the gold Maldini, so this is a very specific example of a card that actually increased. There weren't very many of them in FIFA 22. The market kind of got slaughtered with preview packs and pack supply and weight. I do think EA will tone that down this year, but I wanted to give Kimpembe a shout because of his value. So he basically maintained his price for like 2 months, which is absolutely crazy. Not many cards did it. He was right at that barrier. But what you can look for in that example is 83 plus cards that get super duper hype. So he was a perfect example of that last year. The other one I wanted to give you that was kind of similar was Marcus Llorente. And he was similar because he was just one of the best midfielders in the game for a very long time. He was debatably like the best gold midfielder. I think he got a downgrade in FIFA 23 to like an 84 rated, but he'll still be really good. And you can see pretty much from like September at the start of the game, I think he was price range max there at 65k, but he went from like 150-ish. And then he held price for a good month or so, which is all you can really expect from these kind of gold cards. As we get more and more promos, it's going to be tougher for gold cards to retain their value. So even if they're really, really strong, they're going to have a hard time like Llorente maintaining his value as there are alternates coming in promos, okay? Now, let me talk about a few examples of cards to avoid. If you guys were here on the channel for FIFA 22, I directly told you to avoid some of these, so I wanted to look back at them because it was kind of funny. And things to avoid is 82 rated cards are under for the most part, but especially in off league. So I remember when people saw Pepe's gold card in FIFA 22, people just freaked out about it. It was all over Twitter, all over Instagram. People were like, this is going in my starter squad for sure. I'm going to do Liga NOS. And everyone got super duper hyped to build like a Liga NOS starting squad. And everyone did it. So what happened to his price is he shot up. So the first few days of FIFA, he was like 7k, which is pretty nuts for like a Liga NOS card. And as you see what happened to him, I don't even want to look away. It hurts your eyes if you had him. He went to like 800 coins. So avoid a player like Pepe. Another example I wanted to give that I thought was perfect was Timber, 75 rated gold, so going to get packed a ton. You saw him a lot on Twitter, on Instagram, in those starter squads. What did he start at? He started at 5k plus. Okay, 600 coins. He's back to this card. That's absolutely disgusting, but it's something to be aware of this year. I actually pulled up his FIFA 23 card. He's 80 rated, and he does have a little bit better stats, but please avoid buying him. There's no way a card that's in the Eredivisie that is 80 rated is going to hold value, and I think he's going to be really hyped for that first week or two and then just absolutely get slaughtered again. So try to avoid cards like him. And I wanted to give you one example in a prime league. So Mbabu is a great example here. He's in the Bundesliga. There weren't even tons of right backs in the Bundesliga, so you would have thought he might retain his price a little bit, but he absolutely did not. And that's just because pack weight's been higher in FIFA 22 and likely in FIFA 23. So because he's 79 and rated, I really don't expect him to maintain his value in FIFA 23 either. You can see kind of he started off at 13k. I believe that was like a price range max for him, so people were sniping him. The day after, he kind of shot up and steadied out at like 25k over a few days. But just 2 weeks after that, pretty much, he was down at like 7k or less, we'll call it. So try to avoid buying these like really high demand gold cards to start the year. Saint Maximin is another one I think of because he's going to be in like everyone's starter squad. So everyone's thinking the exact same way. A few days into FIFA, he was 28K. 2 weeks later, he's like 9K. So you're losing 20K. And on one card, that might not be a huge deal for you, depending on how you finish in champs or how you finish in rivals. But if you lose 20K on 10 cards, you're losing 200K. And I know for a fact that was like really deterring and off-putting for a lot of people. And it made people quit FIFA faster than ever this year, in my opinion, is when people started to lose a lot of coins on their team early in the game. Now, you're probably wondering, like, okay, what should I do for a starter squad then, Jake? I want some of those cards. I want to be competitive. And here are my 2 suggestions for you guys. Well, maybe 3. So 1, stick to like a 2K or 3K max a card. Even if they get down to like discard or 1,000 coins, you'll lose like 20K on your whole team. And if you enjoy them for 2 or 3 weeks, 20K is whatever. So stick to like a true really low budget card. If you want to do that, you can still get some beasts probably for 2 or 3K. And early in the year, it's going to be more about your skill than the actual players you're competing against, since we're all likely starting Division 10 again this year. The other thing I'd recommend doing is kind of skipping up to those good cards, right? So maybe you have 200K after we're done with Web App or after Ultimate Edition. Buy an expensive player that you think will hold value. You don't need a ton of them. Maybe buy 1 or 2 of them, like Kimpembe or Llorente or in these examples, and hold on to them for a while, okay? So that guy can kind of carry your team or be like a main staple in your team, and then build around those cheaply. So kind of do some expensive players and some really cheap cards. That works as well. And then lastly, what I recommend doing is actually investing in cards that go out of packs. So this is probably my favorite approach. The chances that you lose coins here is pretty slim, and if you lose any, it's not going to be a lot. But I'll show you some highlights of FIFA 22 and kind of the concept you can take with it into FIFA 23. So this card was a Team of the Week 1 card, which is crazy. I'm not sure if you've seen Vinny's card in FIFA 23. It's pretty nuts. He's an 86 rated. I think he's going to be like 700 to 900K here, which is crazy. I think that's kind of nutty. I want to go to here, FIFA 23, because I think he's going to be in like just as demanded as Neymar because of his 95 pace. Let's see if he pops up here. There he is. And I just think he's got a high demand profile. He's going to be really good for that new chemistry system. So he's probably going to be like 700 to 900K, which is absolutely nuts. That first inform he had, this came out in Team of the Week 1, and you could buy him. Keep in mind, it's hard to gather this many coins. So everyone's going to be like, yeah, just invest in Team of the Week 1. That's going to be like a staple thing to say, which is true if you have the coins. But if it's hard to accumulate 150, 160, 170K coins in a few days, but if you happen to, or you're someone who uses FIFA points, you could look at investing in a meta Team of the Week card, because he went from like 160, 170 all the way up to like 350, and then even a couple months later, he was holding his price. So Vinny is a great example of that. I have one more kind of idea to show you. This was a Team of the Week 1 card, and although he isn't like super great or anything like that, he's pretty fine for starting. For 10K, what you could have done with this card is really just buy him and not lose any coins off him if you wanted to use him for a week or 2. Then you could have just discarded him. Even if you didn't want to use him, you'd get 10 games, 15 games out of him, discard, lose 250 coins, and who really cares about that? So if you can find like discard players that are usable, that's another suggestion I have as well. Lastly, one thing I wanted to mention is once live cards start coming out in FIFA 23, make sure you're investing in those for your team. I'll talk about it ones to watch in another video, but these ones to watches can go really, really crazy, and a lot of them do go pretty crazy this year. So they only need 3 wins out of 8 domestic games to upgrade. So if you can slot them into your team and wait for either like a decent performance or those upgrades, you can see they start to rise in price. So get cards that are going to be live, have a chance of upgrading, and your potential to lose coins there is really, really small. So in summary, just avoid buying cards in general 82 rated or under, but specifically avoid using off league. So I'm going to leave this Timber as a good example. There's also a card coming out in FIFA 23 I see getting really hyped right now. I think I can show you him. It's TZ, kind of his partner right here. He looks really good on paper, but he's 77 rated in the Eredivisie. He'll probably start at like 3 to 5K, and he'll be discarded within a week or 2. So avoid cards that are in off leagues and see if you can avoid cards 82 rated or under. If you want to lose as little coins as possible, stick to like 2 or 3K max per card, or get cards that are going to be going out of packs, like Team of the Week 1 or ones to watch. Hopefully this video helped you today. If it did, make sure you smash the like button, turn on that notification bell for the next one, and we'll see you soon. Peace.